Okay, so here we're doing a little graph I do when people are looking at purchasing. With the purchase, the keys to hit on is the fact that they're going to spend a lot of money, and it's going to take them a little while to get that back, a long time to get that back. And so what with this little graph, sometimes we'll draw it out, and we can draw it out pretty easy. Let me grab this marker here. And so what they'll do is let's say they're going to buy the system. Let's say it's going to cost them 30 grand, right? So they're going to, I'll draw it out like this, and I'll put negative, because they're spending negative money, right? Negative $30,000, let's say. Just because it's all got the concept. The number doesn't really matter, right? So they're going to spend 30 grand, and what they're going to do is throughout that time, typically, you talk to most people, typically it's going to take them, 8 to 12 years to get their investment back. So I just do it at about 10 years. So here's my little graph. It's really simple, really conceptual, easy for people to see. So, you kind of do something like this, okay? So, well, what's going to happen is for those first 10 years or so, well, a lot of times on the iPad we'll color it in red, right? You're losing money, or you haven't broken even yet. So you're going to pay 30 grand and you're not going to get any back. You're not even back to zero for 10 years, roughly, right? So let's say you move, year 8, well, you're not going to get, you lost money. You didn't even save any. You lost money. So, there's that's that. Now, if you say purchasing versus the current utility, it's probably 10 years, okay? It's just a ballpark. If you go purchasing versus what we do, right? Because you have to draw out the PPA. So what we do, and I could even draw this in green, you pay nothing, right? And you save over time. Maybe the saving the line isn't quite as steep. Well, let's say you're right here, and over time you're saving like this, right? Well, it might take you 10 years to get back to zero versus the current way you're getting your power, but versus a PPA, we'll draw this out. Again, you paid nothing, you're not in debt, you don't owe us anything, you're just buying electricity. That entire time you saved money, and that entire time you saved money, you protected the earth, you did all these things. You can move, so you move in 5 years, big deal. You're not having to pay off a debt. You don't have to transfer a debt. You're just buying the power. And let's say that these meet up, 15 years. It's all over the place. 15, 16 years about, these are what we say. So say in 15 years you break even with the purchase, but you didn't have to maintain it. You could have moved at any time. You're not in debt. You're not trying to, you don't have to go up there and try, like I said, maintenance. You don't have to go fix it. If your roof has any problems, that's on your head. If you buy it, you probably got to pay more on your homeowner's insurance. You got to try to deal with the IRS to get a tax credit back. If you even have, enough taxable income to get it back in a short amount of time. And so you're dealing with all these things by purchasing it, and the risk is just really high. So you still get the benefit of solar, and you get it immediately. You don't have to wait for 10 years. Your bill basically cuts in half right away. And at some point, let's say you're in the house 15 years and you had bought it, you may actually start to come out ahead and save more money by buying it. But that's 15 years later. Who knows if you're living there? Who knows if who knows if the system stops working? The technology is going to be way different in 15 years. Your system's a dinosaur. It's worth nothing. And so, and that's if it's still working. Your inverter probably went out. You can name, 10 or 15 things that can happen if you buy your system that it's going to take you a while to recoup your investment if all the stars align, right? So we say, look, why do that? Because everyone else does that, right? The only way to do solar is just that. And it's could go for a lease as well, because even though a lease is still that money out of your pocket. And so we'll basically, this is a concept, right? It's not working with numbers really. It's not going over, any nitty gritty. It's just trying to get the concept across, because a lot of people, the first objection you'll get is, oh, we just want to buy it. My friend bought it. I just want to buy the system. Well, you can buy it, but a lot of times we'll say, hey, the people in, really rich people, They get this all the time. Why? They're rich for a reason. They're good with their money. They know how to invest their money. They're not going to invest something in an asset that depreciates just like a car the second they drive it off the lot, because they're not going to get that money back. You try selling your home, the real estate's going to go up versus off of comps, not on the value of your solar that's on your house. They don't care. Might add a little bit, but you're certainly not going to get 30 grand out of your house because you have solar on it. And so don't expect that you're going to get much back. The only reason you'd pay cash for it is if you have the money. The funny thing is that people with the money, they don't do it because they'd rather put their 30 grand into real estate or the stock market and earn money on their money, instead of putting it into something that's just going to be a sunken cost. And so that's a concept that's pretty easy to go over with people when it comes to a purchase versus the PPA.